I should not be standing here this evening. Twice in my life, I cheated death. The first time, when I was attacked by a crazy orangutan in a Cameroonian zoo. The second time in Virginia, when I crashed my car into the entrance of a tunnel. Now, there was this other time in Lake Naivasha, Kenya, when my friends and I were chased by a very hungry hippo. But that shouldn't count, because I think that day I might have gone a little too heavy with my hippo-enticing mango-scented body wash. My near-death experiences could quite possibly have ended in tragedy. But as the old saying goes, the tragedy of life isn't death itself. It is everything that dies within us while we're still alive. What exactly strikes your mind when you hear something like that? What do you think about? Well, years ago when I heard this saying, it really got me thinking. Was there something still within me dying to be more fully expressed? Was something holding me back from my best life? In other words, was I truly living my life above the covers? A life above the covers? Well, what in the world am I referring to? Well, I'm certainly not talking about a life that's covered and unexpressed. A life under the covers. A life that's filled with fear and second guessing and a focus on the worst case scenarios. No, rather I'm speaking of a life in which we get to live openly and courageously with meaning and true satisfaction. One in which we get to charge forward in the face of our fears to make the most of who we are and what we can become on this somewhat brief yet ever-changing journey through life. You see, through time I discovered that so much inside of me was being denied the chance to shine. My fears were limiting me and stifling my growth and human potential. I had been trying to keep up with the Joneses for fear of not fitting in. I stayed in an unhealthy job situation, somewhat toxic, a career that was dead-end for fear that no one else out there would find my value and true professional worth. I even stayed in an unhealthy and somewhat toxic relationship. Now, with someone who sometimes reminded me of an orangutan. But I stayed anyway for fear that no one else would find me to be desirable, other than that hungry hippo, of course. So here I was, literally living my life under the covers, and I didn't even know it, until an unforgettable day when the course of my life's path took a dramatic turn. You see, I've been going about my life in this mundane routine, circling back and forth between my job as a business consultant in corporate America and, of course, my home. Then living for the weekends, all the while dreading those encroaching Monday mornings. And then back to the daily grind. Day after day after day, this cycle continued until that unforgettable day. I got a phone call from my older brother, Edwin. Sylvia, I need you to hurry back home quickly. Take the first possible flight. Edwin, what in the world have you done this time? No, Sylvia, Daddy's in the hospital. The doctors don't think he'll make it more than a couple of days. His kidneys are failing rapidly. I had many days of reflection after my father died. I could not believe that somebody so close to me had been zapped away so suddenly. He was supposed to live forever, wasn't he? I had many more days after my father's funeral to think about exactly what I was doing with my life. And then it dawned on me that I'd been spending my days chasing after achievement, after materialism, and after accolades. Well, was that fulfilling? Because if it was, why then did I still feel somewhat empty? Was there more to my life, I asked myself. Should I be using my life in a different way? You know, it was after Daddy died that I realized the need to move my life in a more meaningful direction. Now, in order to do that, I had to become fearless. I had to. But where was I going to find this fearlessness, this strength to get up and make a better life for myself? Well, after a bit of thought, it became very clear to me that this fearlessness had always been within me. My orangutan attack, my car crash moment, were simply examples in my life of where I found fearlessness. Yes, I may have been attacked by a monkey, but fearlessly, I continued to explore the wilderness. Yes, I may have crashed my car, but fearlessly, I continued to drive. Years ago, I left my job in corporate America and the comforts of a good, stable income to begin my true path towards a more meaningful journey as a life coach. Now, in order to achieve that goal, I had to invest thousands of dollars in self-development courses and in tools that were often priced far beyond my true ability to pay for them. But I invested anyway. And with my credit card debts mounting and mounting and mounting, I continued forward on that path, believing trusting that someday I would soon get there. Someday. Now, thankfully, today I treasure the true opportunity, the privilege that I have to spend my days traveling around the East Coast, inspiring youth to live a little more fearlessly, to begin seeking out their passions earlier. That craving for the predictable routine that I used to have, that fear of the unknown, they no longer hold me back. To each of us, that cover that I speak of could quite possibly mean many different things. What I now know for sure, though, is that if we allow those covers to cloak our lives, we may find ourselves experiencing less and less fulfillment. And so no matter what those covers are, it really all boils down to fear. It really does. It all boils down to fear. And so I have chosen courage as my weapon of choice in helping me kick off my covers. Because with less fear in my life, I love and trust more freely. I do. I give of myself more generously, and I chase after what I want more courageously. And so I challenge you all to think about what one thing you could begin doing a little more courageously in your lives to allow you to experience a bit more fulfillment. Folks, this is important that we do this from time to time because at the end of all of our lives, at the end of all of our lives, we will lie stiffly with a cover draped over us. But hey, while we are still alive, we ought to fight hard to kick off those covers that could possibly be holding us back from our best lives.